Hi and welcome. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me for the Honeybee Stamps Inspiration Week video hop. Now be sure to hop along, leaving a comment for a chance to win a gift card to the Honeybee Stamps online shop. The next stop in the hop is linked in the description box below. Today I'm sharing one of the many ways I like to use small stamps, like the ones you see here in the new Country Christmas Wreath stamp set. I am absolutely loving this little stamp set. The coordinating dies are amazing, but today I'm using the coordinating stencil with it instead of the dies. Now, I needed to create an elongated Christmas tree for my Slimline card, so I just created a DIY stencil mask, if you will, with my T-ruler and then cut it out with my paper trimmer. I've got a piece of white 100-pound Nina Avalanche white cardstock in my Misty, and I went ahead and placed that DIY stencil over it. And I'm just randomly placing those little stamps from that stamp set all over the piece of cardstock there and stamping them. I'm using Memento Tuxedo black ink, and really there is no rhyme or reason to what I'm doing. I just, wherever my hand lands with it and I think it looks good, that's what I go with. Now, once you have those all stamped, you're going to take that out of the Misty, leave that little DIY stencil on top. And we're going to come in with the coordinating stencil to the Country Christmas Wreath stamp set. And you're going to see me using Post-its here to mask off areas where I don't want to ink up. Sometimes I can get a little bit crazy with the ink blending and the stenciling. So I always like to make sure that I have all the areas around where I'm stenciling covered. That way I don't end up messing up my panel. So I'm using Memento dye inks. I prefer dye inks when I'm stenciling. I've said it before. I feel like I get a softer look and the edges on my stenciled images are so nice and crisp, and I really like the look of that. I'm going to continue stenciling and this with the Desert Storm on the little gingerbread, Morocco on the oranges, Love Letter for the candy canes, Bamboo Leaves on the little stockings. And for the hearts, I'm using Angel Pink. And for the stars, I'm going to use Summer Sky. So really, this goes pretty quick. This is actually a really quick card. Now you're going to see a bunch of tiny little detail stamps in this stamp set. And what I am going to do is use those just to fill in that empty space there on the card. And I do this a lot. I'll take little tiny stamps in a stamp set that are meant to be details to the other stamp, and I'll use them for something completely different, like to fill in empty spaces like I'm doing here. And I thought this little stamp was perfect to add some green so that it would have the feel of a Christmas tree. I'm also going to come in, there's like 2 little stars, and I'm going to come in with those and stamp those in, filling in spaces. And there's also a little stamp in there, reminds me of a snowflake. And I use that as well. Now you see me, I'm stamping with an acrylic block. And I always try to use my VersaFine Clair inks when I'm stamping with an acrylic block. I feel like I always get an amazing stamped image when I use those inks with my acrylic blocks. Now, sometimes I cannot use those because they are not Copic friendly. But when I'm doing something like this, I always try to grab those. And I use Tulip Red, Shady Lane, Warm Breeze, and Goldenrod out of those colors. So easy. Now I decided I'm on a black and white background kick right now, I guess. And I wanted to do a black and white stripe background for this. At first, I really wasn't too sure how I was going to feel about it, but I decided to go ahead and give it a try. And I'm using the stripe from the Buffalo Plaid stamp set from Honeybee. And I'm just stenciling this straight onto my card base with my Tuxedo black ink. And stenciling on Slimline cards with your regular 6x6 stencils, super simple, especially if it's a stripe pattern or if it's a random pattern. So I did a video yesterday, and you may have seen it, where I used the Holly and Berry stencil, and that was a random pattern and very easy to use on my Slimline card. I went ahead and I cut my Christmas tree out, and then I'm adding mounting foam to the back of it so I can pop it up off of my card base. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm playing out in my mind what I want to do with my sentiment. And still unsure of that, I decided I would come in with my gold gel pen and add a few details, tiny little dots really. I do like groupings of 3 tiny little gold dots around the tree just to add a fun little festive touch to it. Now here I'm going to play around with the sentiment to see which way I wanted to go with it. And I decided, since the background was black and white, I was going to stamp the sentiment in black and white. And I did use the coordinating die. So that Merry Christmas sentiment, it does come with the Country Christmas Wreath stamp set. And then, of course, with the coordinating honey cuts, you're going to get the die for that sentiment. Then I just stamped directly onto the top part of my card base, wishing you a very for the rest of that sentiment. And yes, I do have a piece of white foam adhesive stuck to the sleeve of my shirt. Yeah. So here, using the holiday cheer gem stickers and adding some fun colors to our Christmas tree, I wanted them to kind of remind me of Christmas tree lights. So when the light hits it and bounce off of those little gem stickers, it would be a fun touch to this card. So I'm loving these little gem stickers. They're some of my favorite things. Now here I decided to pull everything together. I was going to take my gold gel pen and just do a nice little frame around the card base, and I'm telling you, it made all the difference adding that small little touch to that card. I was so happy with the way this turned out. To be honest, I wasn't sure I was going to be that crazy about the tree on the black and white background, but I really do like the way that it turned out. I know that this is not for everybody. You could totally skip the black and white background and do your tree on a red card base or a green card base if you wanted to. But I'm a huge fan of black and white striped backgrounds. It's just something I really love. So don't forget, you can hop to the next stop. The link is in the description box below. You'll need to be leaving a comment at each stop in order to have a chance at that gift card to the Honeybee Stamps online shop. I really do appreciate you guys joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care.